Boys, the NFL season starts in 10 days, and I'm here to give you my last fantasy football draft help. If you guys do enjoy the video, leave a like, subscribe. I'll catch you next time. Peace. I can't believe I'm saying it, but the NFL season starts in 10 days, and I can't be more excited. But I'm still here to give you some help on your fantasy football drafts and the best strategy because I learned yesterday something that I was doing really wrong, and I didn't notice it because I came self-aware during the draft, and I was like, holy crap. So I'm going to show you how to avoid this mistake that I was doing to help you guys not make that mistake as well. So basically what I was doing was I made my first pick, most elite draft pick, right, out of the people that I saw. So the first two rounds are pretty easy. You obviously want to get a strong running back, strong wide receiver, and then you start filling out towards the end, right? Towards the third and fourth round, you start to begin to like strengthen up those spots, RB2s, wide receiver 2s. So it becomes increasingly more difficult, I would say, in terms of like how you want to draft because you have to think on your toes. And basically what I was learning was that I was drafting too many elite players. I was drafting too many backups, which poses a problem for me when it comes to like picking a lineup. So instead of doing that, instead of having wide receiver 1, 2, 3, 4, basically what I would do, to put it in simple terms, I would get two running backs, I'd get two wide receivers, and then I'd get three wide receivers, three running backs, or an additional one. And then I'm looking at my squad and I'm like, holy crap, I have so many good receivers and running backs, but who am I going to play? I obviously can't play all these guys. So instead of doing that, what I learned was to pick a spot, like a quarterback, for instance, get my two running backs, get my two receivers, and then go for a quarterback or an elite tight end. Instead of boosting and boasting of that, those two positions, which are important positions, but like I said, it can be one of those times where you have like suffering from success. So like say I have Lad McConkey, Puka Nakua, and then I have like Terry McLaurin, one of those mid-tier wide receivers but are still super good. And then I draft another wide receiver, like somebody I like a lot, like that McMillan guy from the Panthers, like I said, right? Now I have this suffering from success issue where I have too many guys on one position. I'm heavily loaded, which is cool to make trades. But if your league is like my league, we don't make a lot of trades because it obviously always ends up one-sided in terms of how we look at it. Somebody's always looking to get the upper hand on the other person, right? Because if I have a lot of receivers and some guys looking for a receiver, whether they got injured or they're looking for through the waiver wire, I have what they need, but I want to win that trade because those guys are just sitting on my bench. And they're like, why would I want to give you a good player if those guys are just sitting on your bench? Like, why would I do that, right? So I'm kind of switching it up. I think that I'm the type of person that doesn't draft quarterbacks really high just because I know that they are important, but not as important to me. I also do think that the tight end position is one of the harder positions to get right just because of there's not a tight end that gets a lot of targets outside of your Brock Bowers, George Kittles, Travis Kelce's. Sam Laporta has his days. Those type of tight ends, right? So I don't usually put too much stock into getting those guys. What I would say, though, especially for me, instead of trying to get so many wide receivers and running backs that I think are good, try to take a step back and just fill out my starting 11 or starting 10, whatever it is. Obviously, besides defense and kicker, you can kind of wait for the later rounds for that. But kind of get your quarterback early, get your tight end early. Obviously, it kind of boils down to who goes first, right? Usually, when a quarterback is drafted, everybody else starts drafting quarterbacks. It kind of depends on who takes the first bite of the bullet. Obviously, you see a lot of Josh Allen's get picked early, and these guys, you can kind of follow this type of dude the way he has like his elite best. So Josh Allen's Jaden, Brock. I don't know how he has Brock. Justin, Drake. I would have Bo Nix on there. I drafted Bo Nix last night. Then he has tight ends Trey, George, Njoku, Colston, Loveland. Don't know who that is. Brenton Strange. Wide receivers Nico, Brian, McMillan that I was talking about. Pickens, Ridley, Drake. Bijan, McCaffrey, Brown, Hampton, Kenneth Walker, Jordan Mason. So like I said, if you can kind of get those elite four in terms of 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, don't try, like I said, for me, I try to bolster that position, kind of get those, like, trying to overload on those, and I kind of miss my opportunity to get a good running or get a good quarterback or a good tight end, elite tight end, I should say. But that's just my opinion. Those are kind of, like I said, a self-reflection for myself in terms of a fantasy strategy. A lot of people have sort of a different way they like to play, whether it be, making trades super early, kind of bolstering like those positions and then trading away those players. Because obviously within the first couple weeks, there's not a lot of trades being made because people like their team. They want to see how far their teams can get. And it's such a small sample size that you don't really want to mess with too much, because it's hard to predict your first 3 games that this guy's playing really bad, and then obviously 4th game he shoots up. So it's kind of an interesting conversation to have. I mean, strategies are super tough, and I think the most important thing when it comes to playing fantasy football is to do what you're comfortable with. For me, I think my biggest issue, it's kind of funny, this is like a self-reflection type video, but for me, I love drafting guys that I like watching. So your Mike Evans, Cooper Kupp, Jackson Smith and Jigba, anybody from the NFC West, because that's my team, the Rams, right? I know them the most. Obviously, I like Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow. The more hype dudes, the more like everybody likes them. Other than that, though, that's it for today's video. Let me know which type of strategy you guys use down below. If you guys did enjoy the video, leave a like, subscribe. I'll catch you next time. Peace.